In this video, we will be discussing sample submission and also what information we require for an illness report. Sample submission. All samples need to be submitted with a Microchem request form. Each sample needs to be labeled clearly on the sample container. Each sample needs to be recorded on the request form on its own line, as each sample submitted is given a unique lab ID number. Record which test types you require the sample to be tested for. The information can be found on the quotation that you requested. If you are submitting food samples, make sure to record the batch number, production date, and the sell-by date. All this information is logged by our data logger when the sample is logged onto our system. But more importantly, this information will be provided to you on the certificate of analysis, or also known as a COA, when the analysis is completed. This helps you keep track of which samples were sampled and when. If you are submitting swabs or water samples, it is important to be as specific as possible. The more specific the description, the better it is to keep track of what and where sampling took place in the future. If you are submitting food samples for chemical analysis or nutritional analysis, it is important to indicate on the request form if the sample needs to be sampled as a composite or individually. Composite samples need to be marked accordingly. In the case of canned foods being submitted for analysis, for example beans or pickled peaches, the analyst needs to be informed if we need to sample the drained mass or the total mass. This can be noted on the request form. When submitting any liquid food sample to the laboratory for chemical analysis, for example juices, wine, soft drinks, it's important that the sample also be tested for density. This will help the analyst convert your reporting unit into grams per 100 milliliter. Shelf life submission guideline. The determination of shelf life is the length of time a product can be stored on the shelf until it becomes unsuitable for human consumption. The decision of shelf life needs to be made by the manufacturer or the supplier of the product. Everyone who packages or manufactures food is legally required to calculate the shelf life of their product. The food label is required to detail the storage and shelf life of the product. The food label is required to detail shelf life and storage instructions. When submitting samples for shelf life analysis, we require 100 grams of sample for any routine analysis. For any additional pathogen analysis, we would require an extra 25 grams per pathogen analysis. When completing a shelf life request form, it is important to record the test type and the test date it will occur. Where assistance is needed with a shelf life plan, please liaise with the laboratory. When setting up your shelf life plan, it is important to remember what type of product you are testing. Is it ambient temperature? Is it refrigerated? It is important to know what the estimated shelf life of your product will be. Will it be 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years? It is important to supply the laboratory with microbiological specifications for your product, either provided by your supplier or internally provided. Our laboratory is able to analyze shelf life on ambient temperature products, refrigerated products, and also if you have an ambient temperature product, we can offer you an accelerated shelf life testing schedule. When submitting a customer complaint sample, it's important to notify the laboratory. We want to know so that we can prioritize the sample. If such a sample has caused the customer to become ill, it is of the utmost importance to get as much information from that customer as possible. Specifically, how long after consuming said product did the symptoms start? Also, what symptoms are they suffering from currently? This information can assist the laboratory in deciding which pathogens they need to test for. We want to emphasize that if your company has a 30-day account with Microchem, it is very important to submit your samples with a purchase order on the request form. Without this number, the analysis cannot take place.